The content of this video is not intended for everyone. The evidence presented may cause the viewer to experience a permanent change in their perception of the world around them. Again, viewer discretion is advised.
On November 22nd, 1963, we the people were fed a lie that would shape this nation for generations to come. That lie was created and propagated by a handful of individuals.
I work in that building.
Were you in the building at the time?
Naturally, if I work in that building, yes, sir.
Back up, man! Come on, man. President.
No, they're taking me in because of the fact that I live in Missouri. I'm just a patsy.
President.
With the support of our government and Hollywood, they have managed to manipulate our perception of reality beyond most people's ability to comprehend. Now, 50 years later, it's time to expose these liars.
A larger part of the government bureaucracy.
A unit that has had, in addition to its ordinary duties, a training for what we call...
Before Kennedy was to arrive, the sheriff called us in, what I call the street people, the plainclothesmen, the detectives.
We looked at him, and he was looking at a dog in the middle of the seat.
We aimed our campaign at the anti-Gore vote.
Inserting at least one shot.
Standing there, just, sitting there in a truck and...
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Why should we expect anything different when we use the same data provided by the same individuals? This video examines who these individuals are and exposes those responsible for the lies. It's time for them to be held accountable. The problem with this country is that someone forgot to tell everyone that what you see on TV isn't real. Now, I'm not just talking about the shows that call themselves reality TV. Those we know are fake. I'm talking about everything, including your nightly news. So before you start saying to yourself, this guy's crazy, let me explain something to you. You have to understand what it is that you're looking at first, and who is putting it out there for you to see. Once you understand that concept, then it all makes sense. And then you understand there's no way that they put anything that was real on your TV. Now first understand that the content that you see on your TV is being broadcast there by a network. That network is owned by a corporation. You must understand that a corporation exists entirely for profit. It is profit above people. We've seen this demonstrated over and over again with corporations making decisions that don't benefit humanity but benefit themselves. That's easy to understand. So what's so hard to understand about the fact that if they were to put something that informs the viewer, then it wouldn't create drama? And drama is what keeps you watching this crap. Also understand that every second that is being broadcast is a second that they can make a profit. So there's a decision that they have to make about what content they're going to put in that time slot, because that real estate is valuable. They have to maximize that investment for their shareholders. That's what a corporation does. So if you think for 1 second they're going to put something on that screen that's going to make you calm, relaxed, and informed, and not reactionary, then you're the crazy one. Here, listen to Hunt himself tell you.
Public opinion could save our nation if our nation is in danger. But the communication media is owned and controlled 80 or 85% by the opposition to the constructive philosophy.
Are you saying that these people are sinister in some way? That's a pretty big group of people to condemn out of hand. Why? Why are they not constructive?
I think in terms that the line should be drawn between people that love liberty and are for the society which has made America great. Newspapers, radio, TV stations, networks are largely in the hands of, say, the enemy of that system.
I'm betting right now that you didn't even catch that. Did you hear what he said? He never said that he wasn't one of those people that is the enemy, because he owns most of the media, or he owned it, his family still owns it, so he is the enemy. He knew at the time that if you knew the truth, you would be a threat to his corporation, his freedom. So the media owners are the enemy of the people. They are the enemy of your freedom. Go ahead, replay it. Listen to it again, but this time with that mentality of what I just said. So you hear it from the horse's mouth. You hear it from one of the owners of that 85%. So yes, they're corporations, and they're in competition with one another, but they understand the bottom line is to keep you in the dark about it. So they do work together to a certain extent. And I'll prove it to you in this next clip. Because after you watch this clip, if you can still say that I'm the crazy one, well, you're part of the problem.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
Well, a child's happiness is priceless, right? Especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday. A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on their birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially when it comes to their birthday.
Absolutely.
A child's happiness is... A child's happiness is...
Well, a child's happiness is...
A child's smile is priceless. A child's happiness is...
You know, a child's happiness is...
A child's happiness is...
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless.
So without a doubt, you can see that they are all, even different networks, are all on board with the same pushing of an agenda. There's your proof. There's no question about it. They are the enemy, and they are not there to inform you. I know you're saying to yourself, hey, what's this got to do with the JFK event? Hold tight, just bear with me. You'll see, it all makes sense.
The Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take some spring out of the Easter Bunny step this year.
Economic factors may take...
Economic factors may take some...
Economic factors may take...
Mike Myers says, yeah, baby.
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 Yeah, baby. Says, yeah, baby.
Says, yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Baby. Mike Myers says...
Yeah, Ken.
Mr. President, earlier this year you told us you had ordered your administration to cease and desist on payments to journalists to promote your agenda. You cited the need for ethical concerns and the need for a bright line between the press and the government. Your administration continues to make the use of video news releases, which are prepackaged news stories sent to television stations, fully aware that some or many of these stations will air them without any disclaimer that they are produced by the government. Comptroller General of the United States this week said that raises ethical questions. Does it raise ethical questions about the use of government money to produce stories about the government that wind up being aired with no disclosure that they were produced by the government?
There's a Justice Department opinion that says these pieces are within the law so long as they're based upon facts, not advocacy. And I expect our agencies to adhere to that ruling, to that Justice Department opinion. It's been a long-standing practice of the federal government to use these types of videos. The Agricultural Department, as I understand, has been using these videos for a long period of time. The Defense Department, other departments have been doing so. It's important that they be based on the guidelines set out by the Justice Department. Now, I think it'd be helpful if local stations then disclose to their viewers if that's, that this was based upon a factual report and they chose to use it. But evidently in some cases that's not the case. So anyway.
You guarantee that's happening by including that language in the prepackaged report.
Yeah, I don't, look. Oh, you mean a disclosure? I'm George W. Bush and I...
Well, some way to make sure it couldn't air without the disclosure that you believe is so vital.
Ken, I mean, there's a procedure that we're going to follow, and the local stations ought to, if there's a deep concern about that, ought to tell their viewers what they're watching.
So understand the media is not your friend. If you ask me which one was worse, the government that pays the individuals to produce these fake events on our news, the news media that propagates that fake information knowingly, or the actors and production people that knowingly produce the actual spots. I think they're all about the same, but you need the cooperation of the mainstream and alternative media in order for these events to work. But here's another thing that they constantly try to push, and they use this next event as their foundation for what they are pushing for. In this next minute and 30 seconds, if you haven't seen this footage before, which you probably haven't, this will probably change your perspective when it comes to these school shootings, starting with the king of all school shootings, Columbine.
Paul, from your point of view right now, do you see any other students coming out of the building?
No, yes, just as you asked me that question, here comes another group, same location.
Out from that angle, they're running out of the school with the hands over their head. This is live from our station in Denver, Colorado.
Keep your eye on the body that the children are running around.
And they look desperate and very happy to be out of there, moving very, very quickly. The kids are racing past these officers and racing to safety. And this is another large group. It appears to number several dozen in number. And as we survey them with binoculars, none of them appear to be hurt. But certainly their condition much different from that one student who was bloodied and was in desperate need of attention and was willing to hang way out of that window until officers could get a hold of him, and then out he came.
Paul, Amy Spohr and Bill Stewart here with you now.
Okay.
We have heard of some relatively minor injuries today, but as we watch this video, it doesn't even look like that has occurred to any of these students.
Yet on exactly how serious she is at this point. You're looking at some video now that was taken within the last hour of the SWAT team there on the floor dragging looks like a victim. We don't know if that's a victim or one of the gunmen, whether this might be a suspect that might have been involved in the shooting, but obviously a very tense situation.
Now you understand what you were saying here. That is a dummy. Police don't carry dummies in their trunks and wait for school shootings to pull them out. Therefore, this was a planned, staged drill, and they took the opportunity for the photo op to put the dummy in front of where they were going to run the children out of the school, to create an image in your brain. That's what the news media does. They create content. That content doesn't have to be real. It's not against the law what they're doing. It may be morally reprehensible, but it's not illegal. Understand that the JFK event is the same thing as the Columbine event. For the past 50 years, they have monopolized that event in Dallas. It has brought billions of dollars to this city. It has brought billions of dollars to the local law enforcement, and billions of dollars to this country in general. But what you don't consider is the cost of that billion. The cost of the mental scarring and the undermining of the fabric of everything that you think is American, that you put into that person that you think was assassinated when they weren't. It is all over your textbooks. It is something that is ingrained in your brain. But the funny thing is, everything that you think you know about this event comes from individuals who call themselves eyewitnesses who you don't even know. The only thing the people of this country and this world saw that day were stills, and not even of the assassination. Realize that there was no video shown to the public of what happened that day until almost 13 years later, when Robert Groden and Dick Gregory showed it for the first time on national TV on Geraldo Rivera's show. So you must understand, this is the tool that they use to condition you, because you don't know any more than I know or anybody else standing around you knows, because we weren't there, but we're trusting the words of these people that say they were there. Now, what if I were to show you that all those people that say they were there are related? Do you think that you would be able to understand the logic behind the fact that they might have been scamming you? That they might be fake? Understand that the world, your whole vision of the world back in those days especially, was narrowed down to a few network stations. Just a few stations, and that's your perception of the entire world came through just those few channels. You understand how easy it was for them to control everything that you see and believe. It only takes a handful of these station's owners and their family members to act as actors to change your whole perception of the world. The other way that they use the TV as a tool is they use it to divide and conquer the people. When the people rise up and have one unified voice, they become a threat to the established system. So the TV is used to divide and conquer those people. For example, 9/11. Nearly every inch of that Pentagon is covered with a camera. Almost 200 of them, to be exact. And yet, what do you see when it comes to the events that happened on September 11th? You see a few grainy frames and a blurred image. Do you think they did it on purpose? You better believe they did. That was intended to divide the people up and cause infighting. Back when I was involved in the JFK research community, and I was the medical illustrator for Robert Groden's bestsellers, the first one I did, High Treason, went bestseller on my 16th birthday. So I had no clue as to the capabilities of what people would do in order to control a whole historical event. We would get constantly told while we were promoting the book on the road that individuals in the audience were paid agents or shills. And this turns out to be correct. So I'm asked all the time, well, if you're not part of it, how come they let your book get published? And how come your book went bestseller? That's a fair question, so here's my response. We couldn't get published in the beginning. In fact, we had to pay for the cost of printing the first round out of our own pockets. In order to establish some type of sales to prove that the book was sellable, we had to pay for it. And in fact, the night before we were going to press, we were working late, and the decision was that we would go to press in the morning. So I suggested that we take all the plates with us back to the hotel room. This is back in the day before we were using digital. Everything was actually camera-ready art. So we took everything back to the hotel room. The following morning, we got a call from the printing company. The entire complex burnt down that night. So, yes, they did not want certain things to be published, but once we did publish it, there was a profit to be made. And again, this is where the corporation side kicks in. If you show a profit, they want a piece of it. And they can control the books. They can make money for themselves off of it. That's more important. I hope what I've said to you rings true, and you understand and begin to peel back those layers of that conditioning that you've had to endure your entire life from these individuals. I hope you understand now and see that what the TV is and what it isn't, and understand that they will never ever show something on that TV that will be beneficial to you without there being a price tag attached to it. Federal agencies like the FBI and the INS, they use biometrics daily to identify the individuals that they investigate. Fingerprints are the most common ones that they use. But since technology has advanced, we have a full range of different identifying features that we have uncovered that everybody has that are unique to themselves. If you'd like to learn more about these technologies, feel free to go to IEEE and look at the thousands and thousands of peer-reviewed papers that have been written over the past decade on different technologies, including ear biometrics, which we use in these investigations. Now, don't get confused with ear print biometrics. Those are not reliable. The mainstream media will try to paint those as a pitfall when it comes to this technology. But that is not what we use, and I highly recommend that you stay away from those types of tests because they are not reliable at all. The biometrics that we use basically map out the ear and the 9 landmarks that exist in that ear that are unchanging throughout your life. When the data is available, we use a combination of tests. Everything from handwriting analysis, vein pattern in the back of the hand, to teeth, and of course facial landmarks. The use of automated technologies to evaluate the evidence is not acceptable in court. Those algorithms are fine when it comes to, say, a casino and looking for fraudulent identified individuals in a database, but not for what we are using here. For the layperson that is not trained in the forensic field, A easy test to verify the work is the use of the spouse and the children. It is understandable that these individuals that are actors that take on these long-term roles would have to include their immediate family because they would be playing their supportive cast. So I hope you have a better understanding of how we investigate these individuals and now have at least one tool to use to validate. I'm going to begin by showing you how they use an actor over and over throughout the years, and you will see that there is a tie-in to the JFK situation at the end of this.
She didn't get to look out as much as she, as of course, as you'd like to. But when she did, she got to, she loved looking at the Earth and at the stars. She said the stars from space are unbelievable because it's just so much brighter. She loved looking at the Earth and at the stars. She said the stars from space are unbelievable because it's just so much brighter.
Velocity 2,257 feet per second. Altitude 4.3 knots.
This is raw, unedited video, just sent via satellite.
And the actor to the far right that is acting too soon is the actor that plays the role of Judith Very Baker, Oswald's girlfriend.
Challenger, go with throttle up.
We are told that this is the sister of the teacher astronaut that was allegedly killed that day. You may recognize her from some other events. She's played the role of Amber Fry, if you remember who that is, a victim to the Boston bombing hoax. She's also played the sister of Ronald Goldman for the OJ trial, which you can see again is another fictitious event, and pay attention to Ronald Goldman's father. But the one I want you to really pay attention to is the top right corner. She plays the daughter of Ed Hoffman, the eyewitness to the JFK assassination.
And a deaf mute standing by the next overpass had a clear view behind the picket fence.
Cigarette. He was smoking a cigarette. For a police officer. He saw a security guard or a Secret Service. He wasn't sure what he was, but he was trying to get his attention and tell him what he had saw. And the man turned his gun towards him, and it frightened my father, so he left.
If we go back to the shuttle disaster, and we look at the investigators that were involved in that incident, we see another familiar face that has to do with the JFK assassination.
I said, well, I happen to be the director of the Solid Rocket Motor Project for Morton Thackall. He said, would you come down here on the floor and repeat what I think I heard? Because if I heard what I think I heard, this will be in litigation for years to come.
Now, you would only recognize this person if you've been researching in the JFK community. This is a well-known author by the name of Gary Shaw.
My life changed when he said that, because then I knew who was going to be in the middle of all this litigation for years to come. There was
a real put down by this new
that
committee
moment, I
of the
decided
original Warren
that I
Commission
was
and
going
its
to start
report
writing
and its
down
findings and
everything
conclusions.
I knew.
And so that was important to us. If we're going to get the truth out to the American people, that was a big step or a big hurdle.
Take note of the person that's actually interviewing Gary. That's Frank Morrow.
But also the regular mass media, Life magazine, the networks, and even as late as, when was that Dan Rather cover-up thing about, about
we now know that these arguments lack foundation, but researchers
Well, I was born on a cotton farm in East Texas, but we had livestock of all kinds. I was born around livestock. Now it's mostly cattle instead of farming, but it's in the rural part of East Texas in Panola County. I was born way out in the country, farm.
So you didn't have to learn to ride to make cowboy movies?
No, I knew how to stay on, I thought, but I stayed on most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't quite that. You see, those are the people that made the B pictures, and the people that made the little westerns, the kind of pictures we made. Those were the people in the early days of television that they called upon, because they didn't. Like the pictures Miss Lancaster was in, maybe they'd take a scene and they'd take it over and over.
Yeah.
If we took a scene and it was right, we went to the next scene. And those are the people that made the early TV pictures, the producers and the directors of the B pictures, which moved rather rapidly, and the little westerns.
As I mentioned in part 1 of this video, it was brought to my attention that Tex Ritter looked like Jack Ruby. So I decided to do an ear analysis on Tex and Jack, and came to the conclusion and made the statement that they are not the same person, but they are related, very closely related. Now at that time I was unaware that Tex Ritter is actually in the Warren report as having dealings with Jack Ruby. He and Tennessee Ford did a gig at Jack's club, and Jack tried to stiff him $200 on the payment. This is in the Warren report. You can look it up. It is publicly available. Now here's where it starts getting interesting. In part 1 we misidentified David Rockefeller Sr. as Jack Ruby. We knew that he was related to Tex because we had already discovered that Tex was Nelson Rockefeller.